Hey, welcome back to another Manga Talks video. Today, I want to talk about a topic that I haven't really touched on too much, and a big reason why is that I don't actually have many of those books. This is actually the only one, and that topic is Kashihon, or rental manga. So this book I posted a while on Instagram, I would say months and months ago, and I have finished it. It was a great one, but it's the only Kashihon book that I have in my collection, and it's not even the original. It's a reprint of it. So I figured that for this video, I might talk about a little more of rental manga, and not really the history behind it, but what I want to get from it in the future, because I am eyeing a couple of different Kashihon stuff, but it's just a part of manga that I haven't really explored in great depth, and I guess money and rarity is the reason, because these rental manga were back in the post-war period, and they're usually pretty expensive. So pretty much what I have here is just some other books that I'll talk about later, but I do want to start off with this one. So this book here is a reprint of some Kashihon manga that was put out, I would say around, I think I wrote the dates here, 1961 and 1962. But just to briefly talk about Kashihon. So Kashihon here is rental manga, and we saw it blow up pretty much in the post-war period, where you would have all these Kashihonya, or rental bookstores, that would rent out books and a lot of manga as well to kids or anyone who was reading them for like a no deposit thing. And it was a pretty prolific time in terms of manga creation, where a lot of these rental manga publishers were just getting artists to do as much as they could to keep the interest of the audience. So every time they'd come back from renting one of the manga, they would be greeted with even more manga. So that was kind of the model that they had. And you had a lot of big names like Tsuge Yoshiharu, Mizuki Shigeru, Umez did Kashihon, Shirato Sanpei. You had the people who were behind Lone Wolf and Cub, Takao Saito, a lot of stuff like that. And also just those who were associated with the beginning of Gekiga as well. So the rental book era kind of died off after mass market magazines came through. So all of the manga magazine formats that we are used to today, that kind of replaced the rental manga industry. And so that's why all of it's out of print. You have very, very few that exist now in Japan. And so this one here I picked up. It's a part of a series called the Mysterious Rental Book Collection. So this is the second volume in the series, and every single volume focuses on a different mangaka. So this one is focused on the mangaka named Tetsuhiro Wakabayashi, who, just to give some background for them, there's a little bit of a intro to this book as well. And just to show as well, this book was reprinted. So it came out in 2016. So it was reprinting two of his stories that came out in 1961 and 1962. This is published by a publisher named Guppy Bookstore plus Ikkyu. So maybe it's a collaboration or partnership between two. They actually are the same publisher that also put out reprints by, what was his name? Ichiro Ijima, the person who will be getting an English release from Smudge. It's the My Husband is a Gorilla, I think the name of it was. So that's a little bit of a fun fact. But yeah, the intro just kind of showcases some examples of Wakabayashi's art, because they started off in rental manga and mainly focused on action manga. And this volume specifically focused on two of like their horror stories, which is here. But they actually moved to doing anime after they did manga. So that's why we have some of these like panels here. They did work on like the second season of the Gegege no Kitaro anime by Mizuki Shigeru, of course. And so the intro looks at a lot of the transition from Kamishibai to Kashihon. Oh, sorry, no. It talks about how that is studied a lot. But in terms of Wakabayashi, his move from Kashihon to anime, that's more on the rarer side. So there's even a part at the end of the intro where it kind of asks for any relatives or those who are affiliated with Wakabayashi to get in touch with the publisher so that they can reprint some other stuff. Kind of gives me that same, or reminds me of the time when Gajo did the same thing. They put in an advert somewhere, I think maybe in their magazines, asking for Tsuge to come back or to contact them. But yeah, so that's just some background information to that stuff. I don't really know too much about Kamishibai in general, or I would say even Kashihon in general. It's still a very untouched area of manga for me, but very interesting because it is super characteristic of the manga at the time. You can tell when something is Kashihon. And just as like a side note as well, I don't remember if The Swamp or Red Flowers was the very first Tsuge English book put out, but the essays at the back, especially for The Swamp, they do talk about Kashihon a bit, and they show cool pictures of it as well throughout. So these are more in the earlier volumes of Tsuge's works, because that makes sense. Tsuge also did start off in Kashihon as well. Later, when you get into like Nejishiki, it doesn't pop up too much because Nejishiki is focusing on the later stuff anyway. So just in terms of my other exposure to that, I read a lot of stuff through those essays in the back of the Tsuge books. So I think the essay itself is, I'm not sure if it's by Ryan Holmberg or translated by them. I'll double check. Yeah. Oh no, this one is by Mitsuhiro Asakawa, another frequent collaborator that Holmberg works with. They are also a manga scholar as well. So let's go through this book here. So 2 stories in it. The first one is my favorite. This one is called something like The Sleeping Fog. So this came out in 1962. And the whole book is in this kind of blue ink, which interesting choice. I'm not sure what the other books in this mysterious rental book collection is, whether they're all in this blue ink, but I don't mind it too much. I'm kind of interested to see what the original looks like, whether it's in like this ink or any other type of ink. But something cool that you see with Kashihon as well is that usually you get color pages. Those color pages are super vibrant. They were built to last, so if you like, hopefully in the future when I do get more Kashihon, I can show them off. But essentially this story is following this man here who's just on his drive to work, I believe, and he meets this random woman in the forest, and there is an accident that happens. So this man seems to be like some sort of celebrity chef, and as he is driving, he gets sleepy and he smashes his car into a tree, but he finds the woman gone. And so as he's walking around the area, there's a specific swamp here, and he finds this fish, and apparently it's like some prehistoric fish. Like, because he's a chef, he's like, there's no way this should exist right now. So he just takes the fish, goes to a hotel to stay in overnight, and weird lady there, or just some weird shit happening there. So if we skip forward a little bit, yeah, he gets kind of paranoid. This weird lady takes an interest in the fish as well, and some more freaky stuff happens. Nice looking clock there. But yeah, let me know what your opinions are on this blue ink. It is very vibrant, but I think I would prefer black ink in this case. Just a personal thing. But yeah, this guy's still in the hotel, and he finds this trio of women doing something weird. Not sure what it is, but they capture him. Maybe they're related to that woman he saw beforehand, but they keep him there. And we actually get a transition to the son. So the son here is on the father's cooking show, and they're wondering where he is. goes out on a drive. Goes out on a drive, and pretty much kind of the same thing happens where the lady appears, he gets into a car accident. Here she is. And he runs off to the same hotel that his father was in, and he finds that the old lady that greeted the father, stabbed dead, goes down to the basement and finds that trio of women and his dad being held hostage. So there's just like trying to escape scene here, pops up, and he manages to pretty much just light the whole place on fire. And the women are caught in them. And as they are dying, they revert to their true form, I guess, which is that same prehistoric fish that the father saw in the swamp. So we've got some fish people in the story, I guess. And later on, he can't find his father. He goes back and tries to search for his father's remains, but he can't find that hotel anymore. It's like it no longer existed. And that is the end of the first story. So it's a pretty simple story. Interesting concept of having these prehistoric fish that are morphed into humans. But I do love the scenes of the fire and the chaos when it comes to the escape as well. Pretty horrific looking faces. Yeah, that was a great one. So that was my favorite, one out of the two stories that are in here, because the next story in this one is a little bit more confusing. I don't think it's my thing. It's called The Grim Reaper's Bills. This was made either in 1961 or 62, sometime around then. It's got more of a, like, I guess, whimsical looking character design. So we have this kind of like Takita Yu-esque style of character, and these little skull creatures walking around as well. So we start off with this guy who works this construction job. Oh, sorry, no. This construction guy's outside this boy's house. It's very loud. And he goes out with his friend later to watch a movie, pretty much. But the movie is scary and he has some nightmares after. So that's the movie there. End of the movie. We'll skip a little bit forward a bit. There we go. Bit of a nightmare happening. And sometime later, this does actually remind me a lot of Takita Yu, which I'm not sure if they did Kashihon before. But it's a very different vibe to the Sleeping Fog, the first one. Like even the character designs alone, this is more realistic looking, and then you have these more comedic looking characters as well. Like if you saw his face here, it's so unserious. But later on, we look at a grave here where we've got a couple of like pretty much Shinigami gathering around, and this is a part of, yeah, this is the back of it. These little skulls here. So the front and back is just a collage of all of the different panels from the stories, and it's similar for the rest of the books in this mysterious rental book collection. And so pretty much what they have is, from my memory, I'm just having a look at the notes right now, they're having a meeting because the Shinigami are tasked with a job to bring like a human to the underworld or something. So that's what's happening here, is Shinigami. There we go, yep. They're just walking up to the human world, back up to the grave. And we'll just skip forward a little bit. Because what happens later is that the boy, he goes to the graveyard with his friends, and they find like a suitcase stacked full of money over here. And they have a fight about it, about the suitcase, but he eventually meets the Shinigami at some point, or the Shinigami follows him. Because it turns out the money was actually trapped by the Shinigami, because the Shinigami's job is to bring a human into the underworld. That was the trap for that kid to take up, and here he is just meeting the Shinigami, learning his fate. And then towards the end, I guess the Shinigami wasn't that good at his job because a couple of other things happened, but it turns out that like the guy tricks the Shinigami in something to do with the money, replacing it with like, I don't know, newspapers. Yeah, newspapers instead of bills, which I guess violates the contract somehow because it just starts melting. I'm not sure of the details. It's pretty confusing, but I think that's the gist of it. This is a really cool panel. Just melting Shinigami. And at the very end, the boys all good, and that Shinigami is kicked out of the underworld, and he becomes a salaryman in modern Japan. And then we've got a little brief section at the end. And that was this Kashihon reprint collection by Tetsuhiro Wakabayashi. So this is not my first exposure to Kashihon in general, because I believe like there are some reprints of some Tsuge Kashihon works in Garo, like Handcuffs, something like that. So very brief interactions with Kashihon with one shots, but this is the first book that I had that is just full Kashihon. So very interesting time period that I still haven't, after all these years, I still haven't really dived into. It's all what I'm interested in terms of picking up different Kashihon stuff, because there was like a series called Kage or Shadow that Yoshihiro Tatsumi was involved in. All Kaidan is another one that seems cool, like another rental manga series that focused on like the supernatural, horror, or the weird stuff, but that's pretty expensive sometimes or rare, so I'm not looking to get the originals anytime soon. I think I'm going to focus on this reprint series because I think there's a lot of them right now. I think there's maybe 8 or more of them, so that is a more accessible way, and these books are quite nice as well. Like this is like clean, very clean copy. It's a heavier book, but very high quality in terms of the pages itself, which is ironic because, like, you know, this is something from the 60s. This had better reprint quality than something like this Naono Yoshiko one, this little bunko. The reprint quality wasn't that great. Same thing with actually the Hino reprint as well. The Best Works thing. This one was not great with its quality, which kind of sucks. So yeah, kind of interesting to see this one having the better reprint quality out of these two, which came later. But anyways, also Mizuki also did Kashihon as well. I don't think I have any Mizuki Kashihon, or maybe I've read maybe his one-shots in Garo. Maybe they were from Kashihon, but I'm not too sure specifically. But kind of on the, it's not the same thing, but I did have Tankuro at the start of the video, just because it's like focusing on the older side of manga. So this one instead is pre-war, not post-war. So Tankuro I have just briefly mentioned on my channel before. I read this maybe a couple months ago now, and I guess I just wanted to talk about it because actually, yeah, I don't know if I have talked about this in detail, but either way, let's go over it again. So this is Tankuro by Gajo Sakamoto. So mangas, it says here, mangas pre-war master strips 1934 to 35. So this is a hardcover slipcase, and this is the book itself. So Tankuro is about this like kind of superhero guy that is in this form of like a impenetrable ball that can do anything. It reminds me a lot of Saritobi Sasuke by Shigeru Sugiura, where you have this main character that is extremely strong, can beat any villain that comes across them. But this one here is pretty cool because it's in color for the whole thing, and it's the only English print of Sakamoto. I'm not too knowledgeable about them. There's a very long essay at the back that also includes an interview. No, it's not long at all. And it's alright. Like, it also includes an interview with Sakamoto as well. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up was because this is an example of a manga that I do not really care for in terms of its entertainment value, but I care for it more as just a way to explore more diverse forms of manga in all these different time periods. And I think for me it's important to read and to experience manga outside of what we're used to. And this is pre-war manga, so this is the old stuff, and it's very characteristic of what I've seen from that kind of age of manga. It's not my thing. Very whimsical and very kind of straightforward hero type stuff. You have every chapter being them focusing on a different evil guy that they beat off, and Tankuro just comes up with a way by like morphing his body into all of these like different forms to beat them. He's pretty much invincible, which it's cool to see, but it's like not my thing. I think I would also say as well Igaguri, which I will bring out too. So this is Igaguri. It's not like a superhero thing, but Igaguri-kun, or Young Judo Master, by Fukui Eiichi. This was put out by Bubbles a while back, maybe like a year or two ago, and translated by Ryan Holmberg. This is also another example of a manga which I personally don't care for with its entertainment. Like, it's about this judo genius pretty much just fighting like different rival high schools and different going to different dojos, fighting there. Not my thing at all in terms of the manga that I like, but it was pretty interesting to experience. Very, like, what's the word? I mean, I've also got Bat Kid that was also put out by Bubbles, but I haven't read that yet. So I just want to make sure that I kind of see as much as I can in terms of manga at my pace. But yeah, I mean, for these type of manga, what other avenues would you get to experience them? It's very hard to find any publisher or any translator who's interested in this type of stuff. So there's kind of a reason why Holberg is pretty important for introducing all this stuff to us. So this one specifically, if you are interested in Tezuka, if you're an Osamu Tezuka fan, there is a very long essay at the back, obviously focusing on Fukui Eiichi, but also on his like interactions and relationship with Tezuka, because from what I read, it was kind of like a rival type of thing at some point as well. So that essay is a gigantic essay. I did not read everything just because I'll show you. This is how long it is in terms of the essay. So it's like I tried to read a lot of it. I think I got halfway through, but because I myself am not too personally interested in the topic and in their work, I didn't really go for reading the rest of it. But for anyone who is interested in that type of stuff, pick this one up. And so Bat Kid, I think I will probably touch in, not right now because I don't feel like I'm really interested in older stuff at the moment, but yeah, even comparing like Fukui Eiichi stuff to Kashihon, there's so many different types of manga that you get in Kashihon too. I'm kind of specifically focused on getting maybe some of the horror ones or like all the weird ones. I'm not too much of a fan of any like sports stuff or shonen stuff, so even within Kashihon there's still a couple of like cool avenues that you can go down to, and that kind of helps me transition into the next mini topic that I wanted to talk about, because I don't think I've ever talked about it specifically on the channel before, but it's photography. Because as I was thinking about my experiences with Kashihon, you know, me not having too many Kashihon books, not really knowing too much, kind of brought up the same thing with photography as well. So I myself, I'm not really a fan of photo books, photography in general. It doesn't really evoke the same emotions I get from fiction, from, you know, comics, manga, reading, that sort of thing. But it's kind of a weird one where I have some specific photography books that I've seen in the past that I've kind of liked as well, but it's another part of art that I'm curious to see whether I do eventually fall into the rabbit hole of. So in my collection, I don't really have any photo books at all. This is the closest thing, BADAFOTO. It is a photo book, but of course the reason why I have it is because of, you know, it is by Daisuke Ichiba. I want to have everything by Daisuke Ichiba, and Ichiba also does a lot of photography on top of the artwork that he creates. So I've just put out a couple of books that have some photography in them. So this one here, BADAFOTO, is fully photos. This one, VOVO, is half photography and half manga, and is actually divided into these two sections in the book. So these two were printed by LDC, and then you have BADADOOR, the art book, which is mainly illustrations but has a little bit of photography on the side. So I guess what I'll do as I talk, I'll flick through them. But the specific photo book that I liked or took interest in, I would say I saw it around like a year or something ago. It's something called Trails by Takashi Honma, and it's specific. Like, the reason why I like it is because it focuses on one kind of subject matter that is a bit more abstract or extreme, and the subject matter is it looks at and it collects a bunch of photographs of blood trails of deers shot by hunters. So just reading off the description of it, so deer shot by hunters in the Shiretoko National Park on Hokkaido. So Honma follows hunters during the winters between 2009 and 2018 to create the photographs for this series. In restrained, respectful images, Honma shows the aftermath of the deer's last moments in life. And it says crimson patterns against the white snow, almost abstract or symbolic. So yeah, it's a wild one. I don't know why that's the only one that has caught my eye, but I guess it's more in the vein of symbolic. I don't know if I'm into photography of people, really. I found photo books from people like the Bozosokus, so the biker gangs in Japan, interesting, but the thing is I would never really own it myself. So yeah, it's curious because past few years my opinion on photography hasn't changed, but it's nice because Ichiba does expose me to photography. Like in BADADOOR, for example, most of it is illustrations, but you do get these other bits of photos added inside as well. He also does a lot of like collage stuff, so blending a lot of different photos from other sources together. I think collages I can see more of an appeal in because it strays away from the realism of a lot of photography. And then here in VOVO, I love VOVO. This is such a great book, but out of print and very hard to get now. So on the right hand side, I've shown this off in detail on my Ichiba collection videos. Right hand side, you have all of the black and white illustrations. And on the left hand side, you have all of the photos. And this one all of them have like a red tint to them. So if anyone does have any recommendations for photo books to look at, let me know. I'm curious in the subject. It's maybe something that I won't physically own myself, but I am curious to see if anyone else can like talk about why photography is appealing to them, because it's just another art form that I'm kind of an outsider in to. And on top of that, I do want to show one more book that has a little bit of photography as well. A little bit, not too much. But this book I've never shown off before, just because it's kind of not manga related at all. This was a book I got maybe 2 years ago. It's called No Contact. Okay, so if you're following me on Instagram, maybe like 2022 or 2023, this is a magazine called No Contact. This is volume 2 or issue 2. This was made and put out by Metastazis Paris, which I will link in the description. And this is kind of like a magazine that focuses on a lot of different like artist overviews and spotlights, but also things like there's a whole thing about death rights across Asia. Sam Richter's was the main reason why I bought this, because I love their art. They have published a bunch of stuff from LDC, so there will be a couple of things I have to censor, but it's nice to revisit this because I haven't touched this in a bit of a while. So it's a combination of illustrations. So these are the artist spotlights. And it's nice because it's very high quality. You have all these like very vibrant inks, shiny as well. But some of this is R18, and I don't know where you can get issue 2 anymore. But issue 3 is on pre-order right now, so I will link that in the description. What's an interesting fact is for issue 3, if you pre-order it, you can get the copies signed in blood. Not my thing, to be honest. But this issue, when it was out, if you pre-ordered this one, you could get your copy signed with bone dust. And on the Instagram, they actually like showed them grinding up bones, like actual human bones. I don't know where they got the bones from, but like you should get it signed in there. I'm like, cool, but I wouldn't really like touching bone dust, so I didn't really go for that. But yeah, a lot of cool like dark art throughout all this, with a nice added feature of the shiny gold stuff too. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up with the whole topic of photography is because it has some photos in here that's pretty interesting. They're in the death rights section for Asia, but now that I think about it, I probably might not be able to showcase too much because they're just straight up of corpses sometimes. Like I can show this, I guess, but that's another form of photography that I don't know if I like. I'm just kind of drawn to because it's so interesting. All the morbid stuff. I know there's an Australian bookstore that sells all those types of photo books as well. I think it's called like World Food Bookstore, so check that out if you're into that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's a weird area for me. It's kind of a call of the void thing, you know, of why I would be interested in seeing that thing. But this is the other related photography book that I have. Not that it has much, but yeah. So that was the No Contact magazine, issue 2. Love it because it has this binding where you can just lay everything out flat. But in terms of Gara issues too, sometimes later in the Gara issues, in the lifespan of it, we had photography from people like Nobuyoshi Araki, who's quite a well-known one for the more erotic side of photography, which I'm not really too into. But I'm not really a fan of Araki's photography specifically, but you know, you'd sometimes see that in Gara, and I have definitely seen a bunch of them before. But no, not only just Araki, you had other photographers coming into Gara as it expanded and diversified, especially towards like the Heta Uma side of things, so like in the 70s as well. In Axe, I haven't really seen too many photographers showcasing their works in there, but I have read less acts than I have read Gajo, so I can't say for a lot of the issues that are out. But yeah, I would say that's probably be the end of this video. I kind of wanted to just touch upon two topics, Kashihon and photography, that I haven't really brought up before because I haven't recorded for quite a while. I don't have any backlogs anymore, so this is once this is recorded, it's going to be put out as the next video, because the previous one I put out was for the Hironori Kikuchi one. But yeah, photography, we'll see. I'd be curious to see where my opinions lie down the road. But if you have any of your opinions about Kashihon or rental manga or Kashihons or photography or any other recommendations from both of those parts of their world, feel free to comment that below. So yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed this one. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.